You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest. Even though we're running a little bit behind, a little bit tardy, Frank Badeau, Exchange Resources, is with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. Nice to having me here.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Let's see, what are we going to celebrate? National Caviar Day. Now, I don't know about you. I like caviar. Now, I'm going to share with you a super secret. This was taught to me many, many years ago at one of the fine steakhouses of the world. It was a Phil Lear's Steakhouse in San Francisco. I don't think he's there anymore. Phil was about 100. This was 30 years ago, so I don't think he's around. Caviar on a baked potato. Gotta love it. Okay, let's see what else. What else are we going to celebrate today, Josh? Sour Candy Day. I've beaten anorexia, so almost any kind of candy that's out there, I like it. So sour candy and caviar. And today's also World Listening Day, so you better be listening. And National Tropical Fruit Day. I just happen to be one that my tropical fruit of choice is papaya. If anybody really cared, that would be I'm just a fan of papaya. If I can go over to Hawaii and get some papaya, I am happy. Take a look and see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average. Whoa, it's up 354 points right now. The S&P 500 is up 19. NASDAQ is up 41. Oil up $1.13 a barrel in the 10-year Treasury. That's down about 4 basis points, 3.767 right now as we speak. And oil, I think oil's probably right around the same as it was yesterday. We haven't changed a whole lot, especially here in the formerly Golden State, where we like to pay more taxes and fees. I know we like it because we vote for the same people every time who want to charge us more. So what else could we attribute that to? Is we just must like high taxes, high fees, and those people that can afford to leave the formerly Golden State, they're doing so no matter what Governor Newsom wants to tell you, because he doesn't want to tell you the truth. No, don't say that about our governor.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, well, no matter what he wants to tell you, people are leaving the state, and more importantly, high net worth individuals are the ones leaving the state. Don't want the taxes, don't want the fees. They're going places where it's cheaper to live. Let's see what else is going on in the world right now. Goldman Sachs chief economist cuts the recession probability to 20%, dismisses yield curve inversion. Okay, so history does not repeat itself any longer, according to Goldman Sachs. Do you want to believe that? I wonder what Goldman Sachs says about our 4.5% unemployment here in the formerly Golden State, the state that generally leads the way in many, many economic activities. But I just throw that out there. B of A profits are up 19%. I wonder why that would be. Thank you, Jerome Powell.
Such an idiot.
Yeah.
Such an
Don't.
idiot.
You got
Such an idiot.
amazing how many people are idiots today. But, Jerome Powell, he's still looking at bad data. If he would look at good data, he'd realize they do not need to be increasing interest rates next week. But because he doesn't want to look at good data, he'll look at the old stuff. They'll increase interest rates next week, and companies like Bank of America will make more money. How about you? Are you making more money? Oh, wait. Only the president thinks you're making more money. But he doesn't look at the stats. He doesn't look at the numbers. So maybe that's where the problem is. If he would look at our numbers, maybe he'd also realize that, real income is not going up. It hasn't since he took office. Real wages are down. How do you get real wages? You look at the increase in wages, subtract inflation, and that tells you what real wages are. So just throw that out there for you. It's not happening. And how about Army soldier? Now, you got to wonder what's going on in our military right now. So we get this United States Army soldier that was being sent back to the U.S. from South Korea for disciplinary action. Somehow he eludes the people that are bringing him back to the United States and crosses over into North Korea and gets arrested. Now you got an international incident. Why weren't they watching this guy? Why didn't they have a better handle on what this guy was doing? I'm curious. Am I the only one that wonders sometimes how these people get into the predicaments they get into? And then we've got an international incident on our hands. I'm just curious. Am I the only one? Put it in the chat maybe it's me. I know a lot of people say that I've got a warped mind. That's not abnormal for people to tell me that. But I'm just curious about some of these things. How does it happen? Well, now, and we heard the president, because he is senile, maybe has a little dementia, cognitive disorders. And I don't say that lightly because my father died with dementia. Dear friend of mine just passed as well with some cognitive issues. And I throw that out there because you watch with what's going on with the president. Why in the world would a president of the United States tell the world that we're short on ammunition? You got to wonder about some of these cognitive issues, and then we talk about his son. Now, his son is with him all the time. Is he really running the country? No, don't do that about the president's son. Secret Service can't figure out whose coke that was in the White House. Really? Does anybody believe that? Is somebody falling for these gimmicks that they keep running out of Washington? I'm curious if, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just a cynic here, but I can't figure out how they can keep going on with some of these different issues. And, the lame media, for the most part, they don't even question any of these things. They just go on with it, just like a whole bunch of, oh yeah, I know. That's our media for you. It's just, that's enough. Okay, it's our media. They're a bunch of sheep. They do what they're told. They don't have any questions. They don't ask questions. They used to ask questions. It used to be part of the media that they would ask questions about what was going on. Guess right now that's not part of it. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, home buyers are getting used to the new normal. We'll talk about that. How to change your credit card without closing it. And do you want to save some money on your taxes? Are you a real estate investor? We're going to learn about 1031 exchanges. Is it right for you? I don't know. But education is. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Homeowners over the age of 62 are taking back financial control after retirement with reverse mortgages, and the Siegel Lending Team is here to help you use it to your advantage. Call Ron Siegel with Geneva Financial to receive your free information booklet with no obligation. The booklet answers all your questions, and the best part is, you still own your home. Call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990 or visit ronsiegelradio.com.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Got a phone? Make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And hey, every morning, early morning, if you want, we send out a market update. It's usually a page 2, 3, something like that. It's real short, easy reading. I write it at a 9th grade reading level. But it's easy reading, and we give you information on what's going on in the mortgage market. If you want that every morning sent right to your inbox, rsrmarketminute.com, rsrmarketminute.com, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates. We do not know APR, points paid, points received, just the locked rates. With consumers across 42% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. So let's take a look and see what the loans did yesterday. 30-year conforming, 6.77. 30-year jumbo, 7.118. 30-year FHA, 6.736. 30-year USDA, 6.834. And the best loan on the market for those that earned it, that would be the 30-year VA loan, 6.555. Let's take a look and see what's going on this morning. The 10-year Treasury is down 3 basis points, 3.777. S&P 500 is up 22.44. Mortgage-backed securities are up 6 basis points. That means interest rates are down just a little bit, not enough to really notice. Why? Well, retail sales in June were up 0.2%, weaker than expectations of 0.5%. I wonder if the Federal Reserve is listening to that one, or our friends over at Goldman Sachs. The control group rose 0.6% last month, twice the estimate, and May was revised up by 1/10. This gets imputed into the GDP estimates and should lead to an increase. Remember, the control group, get rid of autos and get rid of food and energy, things that you don't need. This added some pressure to mortgage bonds, but they were able to recover. CoreLogic rental report. They got a rental report the same day our guru on helping us save taxes on investment properties, but we're going to get to that in a minute. CoreLogic rental report that rent prices are now up 3.4% year over year in May, which is down from 3.7% in the previous report. Latest CPI report showed that shelter costs rose by 7.8%. So the CPI is using a false number. Again, we've talked about that before, that they use old data.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
So they're using 7.8. We're legitimately at 3.7. That's 4.4% higher than the actual seeing because of the lag. When you multiply that difference by the shelter weighting and core CPI, it shows that shelter is being overstated by roughly 1.9%. That would mean that core CPI should be closer to 2.89 instead of 4.8, closer to the Fed's target. But Jerome Powell,
idiot.
Yes, I know. He's still looking at old data. So that's why there's soft landing. Probably like 2021 when they didn't start raising interest rates soon enough. Think that's going to happen? We'll see. A lot of people in the media now talking about the increasing chances of a soft landing. I don't believe it. New York Fed released its June survey of consumer expectations, credit access survey, showing that the application rate for any kind of credit over the past 12 months declined by 40.3%, lowest reading since October of 2020. Additionally, last week, Primerica released its Middle Income Financial Security Monitor survey for the second quarter, showing that 76% are cutting back on non-essential purchases. 76%. Ooh, big number. 36% of the respondents used their credit card more in the past year, up from 31%. 33% noted that their credit card debt increased over the past year, up from 29%. 71% say their income continues to fall behind the cost of living. 48% are cutting back on or pausing saving for the future to make up the difference. And oh yeah, there's a lot of folks that still can't afford if they have that $1,000 unexpected expense. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So let's chat. Our guest this morning, Frank Badot, Exchange Resources, is with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Ron.
So tell me, what is Exchange Resources? Is that like 1031 exchange or exchanging phone numbers, or what are we exchanging?
Yeah, that's what are we exchanging, right? So Exchange Resources actually is the name of our company, and we are what we call a qualified intermediary. So we facilitate.
Qualified intermediary.
You like that, right?
Oh, that's a fancy
we
name.
have different terms. We're also an accommodator, if you like that better.
But, okay.
Yeah.
So you accommodate qualified intermediation. Okay. I think we're going off the rails here this morning.
So what's a 1031 exchange, right? So 1031 actually refers to the section of the tax code.
Okay.
Section 1031. And allows an investor, real estate investor, to defer the payment of their capital gain taxes as long as they're going to be reinvesting the proceeds of that sale into another investment property. So, Ron, for example, let's say you own a fourplex, right? You bought that fourplex years and years ago for $200,000. It's now worth $1 million, right? Now, your option is if you sell it today without doing a 1031 exchange, you're looking roughly at, again, about $800,000, right? So that's going to cost you roughly, depending on what state and your tax bracket, about 35% in taxes.
Like that's going to probably put you at the $800,000 gain is going to probably put you in the highest tax bracket everywhere.
Most likely, right? So you're looking at about, writing a check for about $300,000 or so, right? So what's your option? Well, as long as you, in selling that property, as long as you're going to reinvest all of the proceeds into another investment property, then you got to hold on to that, check that you would have written to the tax people, and reinvest all of that money into another property. So at the end of the day,
What if I don't want to reinvest all of it?
Well, you can do that too. You're just going to pay the taxes on the differential.
Because at some point in time, as I get older, and I'm already old,
Yeah, and
I want some money to live on because
Yeah.
I've made all these investments.
And some people like to do that, right? So they would exchange a portion of it, keep some cash.
Oh, so you can
pay
do
the
that?
tax. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
So now I'm going to throw a curve. Now, before we get too far
Go
into
for
the
it.
weeds in this, because I want to get some details here, but just remember, I don't know about you, Frank. I don't give tax advice.
We don't either. So
Okay,
that's very
so-
important, right? We
right.
are
Not giving tax advice here. We're giving you an
We-
education.
we talk about
And
it.
talk to your CPA or tax planner or whomever. We don't give tax advice. We don't give legal advice. Frank's just the expert on the 1031 exchanges, but we do work with those other folks.
That's right.
Okay.
Always talk to your CPA.
Yeah, exactly. Always want to talk to the CPA or whomever it is that makes those smart decisions for you.
Good.
So the 1031. So if we want to take some of that money out, we can do that. We can take. What if I wanted to, take a loan before I do the 1031 or after the 1031 to get some liquidity? Am I allowed to do that?
You're getting one in some kind of a gray area.
Okay.
So again, that's not necessarily recommended. I mean, some people do that, but I think you would want to give it some seasoning and wait, at least a year or maybe a filing of a tax return. So in those kind of things, like you mentioned earlier, right? Talk to your CPA, your tax advisor, to see if what's best for you. But we don't really recommend that you start putting cash out just before doing an exchange.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So you're not going to do it right before then. That would be a big red flag.
Yeah, a big red flag. Yeah.
And we don't want to do that. We don't want to get into the gray areas. But if you're doing that now and your plan is to do an exchange 2, 3, 4 years from now,
I mean that could be an option.
that might because at some point you need to get something. You might even need to do some repairs on the property.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's
Right.
okay.
So there are all kinds of options in there and things that you need to be planning on. But I think one of the big key words for the 1031 is it needs to be part of your overall financial plan.
Exactly, right? And then remember one thing, right? The 1031 exchange, the IRS is looking at the intent of the taxpayer, right? So it's not a way to
The intent of the taxpayer.
Exactly, it's not a way to evade money or never paying the taxes, right? But it's a great tool that allows you to reinvest and keep more of that money to your benefit, right? But like I said, we are not tax advisors, so always refer to your
Now the
CPA.
1031 is it used a lot?
Actually, it started about 100 years ago. It was a tool developed for farmers, exchanging farms and things like that. And 100 years. Can you believe that? But
Wow.
we are seeing a lot of people doing it. I mean, it's a great way to increase your wealth.
And not pay Uncle Sam more than he's entitled to.
So you got to keep the money, and for some, maybe you can put that money to better use, right?
Well, the reason I asked that question is we constantly hear that it's on the crosshairs of Congress, right? Every time they're doing some idea where they want to tax people more, they always seem to throw the 1031 as something that they're gonna abolish.
That's right. Every time you have a change in administration, it seems like the 1031 is going, coming back on the table. Well, fortunately, this time around, we are safe again. But we invite you to be vigilant and listen to any kind of talk that could discontinue that.
So the common
and by the way, it's 1031 exchange is not a loophole. I want to emphasize that, right? It's part of the tax code. So it's very important to know.
Yeah, well, it's got its own number even.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got its own number. So, when we come back, I want to chat with you more about this. What are the benefits? What are the rules? What are some strategies? And I don't want to cause trouble here, but can you go forward and backward? We'll talk about all that and more. You can reach me anytime off air, number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Monitor your credit scores, bank account, asset accounts, value of your real estate. And, oh, yeah, if you're thinking about buying a new house, 97% of the homes on the market are available right there nationwide, not just local. 97% of the listed properties are right there, rsrmoney.com. The story today, home buyers are getting used to the new normal. Before you decide to sell your house, it's important to know what you can expect in the current housing market. One positive trend right now is home buyers are adapting to today's mortgage rates and getting used to them as the new normal. To better understand what's been happening with mortgage rates lately, we've got a graph. It shows the trend for the 30-year fixed mortgage rate from Freddie Mac since last October. As you can see, rates have been between 6 and 7% pretty consistently for the past 9 months, according to Lawrence Yoon, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, NAR. Mortgage rates play a significant role in buyer demand and, by extension, home sales. Yoon highlights the positive impact of stable rates. Quote, mortgage rates heavily influence the direction of home sales. Relatively steady rates have led to several consecutive months of consistent home sales, unquote. As a seller, hearing that home sales are consistent right now is good news. It means buyers are out there and actively purchasing homes. Here's a bit more context on how mortgage rates have impacted demand recently. When mortgage rates surged dramatically last year, escalating from roughly 3% to 7%, many potential buyers felt a bit of sticker shock and decided to hold off on their plans to purchase a home. However, as time has passed, that initial shock has worn off. Buyers have grown more accustomed to current mortgage rates and have accepted that the record low rates of the last few years are behind us. Doug Duncan, Senior Vice President and Chief Economist of Fannie Mae, says, quote, consumers are adapting to the idea that higher mortgage rates will likely stick around for the foreseeable future, unquote. In fact, a recent survey by Freddie Mac reveals 18% of respondents say they're likely to buy a home in the next 6 months. That means nearly 1 out of every 5 people surveyed plan to buy a home in the near future, and that goes to show buyers are planning to be active in the months ahead. Of course, mortgage rates are not the sole factor affecting buyer demand. No matter where mortgage rates stand, people will always have reasons to move, whether it's for job relocation, changing households, or any other personal motivation. As a seller, you can feel confident there is a market for your house today, and the demand is pretty strong as buyers settle into where rates are right now. Bottom line, the way buyers perceive today's mortgage rates is shifting. They're getting used to the new normal. Steady rates are contributing to strong buyer demand and consistent home sales. Got any questions? Give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Continue our conversation. Frank Badeau, Exchange Resources, is with us this morning. As we mentioned in the last segment, before I start chatting with Frank, I do want to mention neither one of us are giving tax advice or legal advice. So go to the professionals for that. Frank knows about 1031 exchanges, and maybe he could throw a question or two out there for you to ask your CPA or tax planner when the time is right. So let's get back to it, Frank. What's the benefit of a 1031 exchange?
I think one of the major benefits is to increase your real estate wealth over the year, right? Also diversification, we see that's a big benefit. Diversification, consolidation, increase your improve the return on your investments, and to be a little more complex, we'll simplify this a little bit. But depreciation, one of the benefits of owning real estate, investment real estate, is that you can depreciate that asset every year on your tax return. And that's can be a pretty nice write-off every year, right, that you could take.
Sure.
Well, for example, on residential real estate, you can depreciate that over 27 and a half years. But what happens when you have owned that real estate for more than 27 and a half years? Well, you don't
You retire.
you retire, but you don't get to take depreciations anymore, right? So by taking that equity, reinvesting it maybe in a newer property, then you can start a new depreciation schedule and again benefit from those depreciations.
Okay. So
write-offs every year.
So you're gonna change that over and start that 27 and a half year clock again.
Yeah, or add on to it,
Or add on. Okay. Yeah. So you're now. Can you take a highly appreciated property and split that into 2 or 3 properties?
Absolutely, and we see that all the time, right? Let's say you own a large apartment community, right? You want to retire, right? You don't want to manage this anymore. So you could maybe take a little bit of cash, right? Invest in multiple other properties. You have those investment vehicles like those Delaware statutory trusts you can invest into, where you basically don't have to manage the property. By the way, we don't sell those.
Okay.
But that could be a great vehicle to invest in.
Well, I like the idea that when you're talking about here, because one of the things I've never, you and I have talked many times, and I'm not sure I've ever picked up on the idea of the diversification. So how do you?
I mean, I'll give you an example. For today, investing in office building may not be the best way.
Okay.
Right. So you could take that equity, sell that asset, and maybe you're reinvesting it and splitting it into more maybe multifamily properties, or maybe triple net lease or things like that. Right. So you can take.
So you go into an industrial property, something that's more desirable at the moment.
Maybe like an Amazon warehouse or something like that, or a portion of it. Right?
Sure. Okay.
So you take that big apartment complex that you own, or that apartment building, or the
community
building.
Yeah.
Sell it, split up into different other real estate asset.
Now, how do you manage? One of the things that gives me pause for concern, I guess, is the timing of everything. You've got some very, very strict timelines and coordination in there.
That's right. So your timeline. So basically, something to remember too. You have to set up your exchange before you close escrow on whatever you're selling or buying. Very important.
Okay.
Yeah? And
So
then
got to call you early.
Exactly. So you prepare. And then once you close escrow on your property, then that's when the timeline starts. And then you're
Okay.
going to have 180 days to close escrow on your replacement property. But the first 45 of the 180 is going to be to identify specifically in writing what you are going to buy. So it cannot be vague, right? You cannot just put a bunch of, areas. You have to be, specific with some address on that identification form. So that should be
What
very
if can you
specific.
change that address once you put it on there?
So within 45 days, you can make any changes you want. But past the 45 days, whatever is on piece of paper stays. So there's no more change after that. So you have to stay within that time frame because you're not going to see any extension past that point, right? So it's very important.
So do you see, I hear a lot of folks talk that's one of their big concerns with the product, with the program. But, it almost sounds to me like in reality that the vast majority of the people, they probably have identified the departing property. That's easy because they already own that. And the acquisition probably before they even go to start selling the departing properties. Am I?
You're right. And that can be the challenge, right? So it always goes back to surrounding yourself with the right, real estate professional who understand how an exchange works, right? It's amazing to me that we're still getting calls every month, people who have had no clue their agent didn't even mention what the 1031 exchange could do for them. And they close escrow, they call us and say, hey, I'm ready. I heard about that program, but can I do it? I'm saying, I'm sorry, you can't. It's too late, right? So surrounding yourself with the right professional to plan ahead is important. Now, another thing, like in a market like we are in today, right, the inventory is very tight, right? So we are seeing more of what we call the reverse exchange.
Reverse exchange.
Where people, rather than selling your property first and buying the replacement later, then you actually could buy the property you want to, replace with first. You buy that first, and then you would sell what you have to sell later. So that could be a great benefit if, let's say, you happen to stumble on the property you want to buy, right now. So you can bypass a little bit of that stress to try to go and identify a property, especially when you have so much competition, or we are seeing now more, multiple offers and things like that. So reverse could be a good option for that.
So I'll just throw a plug in for our friends at Geneva Financial. Is they've got a transition loan that would be perfect for that because you're taking a lien on both your departing property and the acquisition. You get all the money you need to buy the acquisition as long as you've got the equity in the departing property, and you can really finance that whole thing and not have to worry about where you're coming up with the money if there is a question mark about that. So if you have a question on that, just give our friends at Geneva Financial a call on that one as well. But I like that idea of doing the reverse. Just because right now, selling your property is relatively simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean, unless you're looking to make a grand slam out of it and you're taking a $1 million property and you want $2.5 million for it, that might sit on the market a while.
Yeah.
But if you've got $1 million property and you put it up at $1 million or $990 or something, it's going to sell quickly. The finding and getting into contract on that acquisition, that might be a little more of a challenge.
It's a little tricky. It's, like I said, today's market's a little harder.
A little harder.
But even if you don't, again, the planning is key, right? It's critical. You don't want to wait the last minute. You realize you're going to be doing an exchange. You want to plan ahead of time. And if you're going to be selling your property first, make sure you at least start, looking at areas you want to invest, so you're not wasting the last minute to do that.
Yeah, it seems to me it's almost easier and less stressful. Because you don't want to make a mistake on that because you've only got 45 days, you said, to identify. So get out there, get shopping, maybe even now are your days based on?
Those are calendar days, by the way.
Calendar days.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Are they based on contract date or close date?
So those are days from the day you close escrow on what
Close
you're selling
days.
or you're buying. Exactly. Then calendar days, 180 days to close on your replacement, first 45 of the 180 to identify.
Now,
start from the day you close escrow on.
Okay, so it's not contract day, it's closing days.
Exactly.
And the other question that I had there, so you really don't have to worry as much about the days when you're talking about the reverse exchange.
Your only worry, I guess, would be to make sure that you're going to be able to sell what you have to sell within 180 days.
Okay.
Of when you acquire that replacement property. So
got to make sure
you
you sell on time.
Make sure you're going to sell what you have to sell.
And you have a little more control of that because you're determining the price. So if you're getting close, you may decide, okay, I'll take a little less because the discount might be less than the tax liability down the road.
That's another consideration.
Right. Again, talk to your tax professionals. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, how to change your credit card without closing it and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it's wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has these solutions. How to change your credit card without closing it. A few months ago, a self-employed money nerd friend mentioned how she loved her business cashback card. She could earn 5% cash back in certain categories and 2% on everything else. That's when I realized the business cashback card she was touting was probably a better fit for what another person needed. Last thing, I was hesitant to open another business credit card. Didn't want to close the current card to get a new one. Good news, you can change your credit card without closing it. Here's how. Got to understand why you're doing it. Before you decide to swap cards, know why you want to change your credit card. A couple reasons might include your spending habits have changed. When one first opened the business card a few years ago, pre-pandemic, chose it for travel-related perks. Soon after opened it, was stuck in quarantine like everyone else on the planet. Fast forward present, found that main use was of the credit card was for everyday business expenses such as marketing, gas for the car, supplies, and software. So, got to switch the card with a higher rate, earning points on everyday spending. If the card benefits are no longer in line with your needs or spending habits, you want to swap cards. You might want to switch to a travel card, or if you're like others, flat cash back cards might be a better fit. Or maybe you'd like to upgrade to a different card with more robust perks. You want to save money. If your card comes with annual fees and you don't find yourself tapping into its perks, You might want to downgrade to a card with fewer perks and lower redemption rate. Various reasons. Make the switch. Also known as a product change. Downgrading or upgrading your credit card is quite a simple process. Note that you can only switch cards with the same bank or credit card issuer. For instance, you can only change to another Discover card if you have a Discover card. Or if your existing credit card is with Chase, you can only swap for a card within the Chase product line. To make a change, you reach out to the bank or credit card issuer. Let them know you'd like to change to a different card, but you're keeping your existing credit line open. Know how it impacts your credit. There's a few ways that changing your card instead of getting a brand new card can affect your FICO score. Not Vantage score, I'm talking FICO here. It won't shorten your credit history. That's important. When you change cards instead of getting a brand new card, a big advantage is that you won't close your account. In turn, it won't impact the length of your credit history, which is 15% of your FICO score. It could impact your credit utilization if you're switching to a card with a higher credit limit. This might decrease your credit utilization, which makes up 30% of your score. If you switch to a card that brings your total limit to $15,000, we're not going to give you an example. I want to talk to Frank. May prevent a hard inquiry. Yeah, you don't want to get more inquiries. Understand what you're getting into before you make the switch. Check the APRs, payment due dates, and fees that come with your potential new card. As for reward points, depending upon the card you're swapping with, you might be able to keep the rewards you earned on your card. It depends on the card, so check that beforehand. Make sure you know the annual fees. Get all that information, and you're good to go. That's the Your Credit Matters segment brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Continue our conversation. Frank Badeau, Exchange Resources, is with us this morning, learning about 1031 exchanges. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure, go for it.
I always like to get stories. Do you have a good story of how of a benefit that we've been able to achieve through the 1031 exchange program?
Yeah, good question. Actually, I have a good one. I was speaking with a gentleman a few weeks ago who owns an apartment complex in Costa Mesa, right? So he bought it, I think, like 30 plus years ago for like $180,000, right?
Nice.
And it's now
worth a little more than that now.
Yeah, now it's worth like 2.5 or something.
Okay,
like that, right?
little appreciation.
So I asked him to tease him. I asked him, okay, so how are you doing? How is that property returning for you? Are you getting a good return on your investment? He said, oh, it's great. I'm getting 100,000 on it every single year. I'm making good money on it. 100K, I bought it for 180. Look, I'm making 100,000. It's a pretty darn good return, right?
Sure.
I said, are you sure you're making the kind of money you're talking about? I said, well, yeah. I mean, I'm putting that in my bank account every year, right? I said, well, think about this. You know, you're sitting on $2.5 million worth of equity. And did you know that if you were to reinvest that 2.5 million and leverage it maybe into a larger property, more units, then maybe you would have a great chance to increase the return on your equity, the return on your investment, right? And maybe multiply that number.
Sure.
Right. So, I mean, here, people don't realize sometimes that, they have amassed so much equity, but that equity is dormant. That equity is not doing anything.
When
right?
you taught us earlier, then he's probably out of his depreciation
and
too.
He doesn't take any depreciations also, right? So that's another benefit that's gone out of the window. So, but, taking that equity, reinvesting into maybe more, better real estate, diversification, that could significantly increase the return on his investment.
Heck, it sounds to me like even if he went from that same 2.5 and bought the building next door, right, and he's still going to make the same 100,000.
Maybe leverage that investment, right?
But even if he didn't do that, even if he just went next door, then at least you're going to get back that depreciation.
Exactly.
And not have and the 100,000 will be all yours instead of most having to pay taxes because you've got that depreciation benefit.
Yeah.
Nice.
It all goes back to education, right?
Sure.
We find a lot of people in those situations don't really have the knowledge they need. So surrounding yourself with the right professionals, a good tax advisor, that's really key to be able to identify, areas of opportunities like that.
What almost kills me when you were talking earlier about somebody calling you after the fact because their real estate professional never told them that they need to be looking into a 1031 exchange.
Can you believe that?
That to me, that's just, well, okay, I'm a consumer advocate. I'm going to say this, Frank, you may not want to. I call that malpractice, right?
It is.
Because, that individual really was not doing what was in the best interest of the client. All they cared about was, getting a transaction done.
Yeah.
and not going the extra mile and understanding their craft and being a trusted advisor.
Exactly.
And I don't think I'd ever be using that real estate agent again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Right? I mean, because it's just lunacy. But we see that happen a lot with people just because they're going out there and they're trying to skimp on something. Maybe they got their dog walker's best friend's uncle to do this. And they've never done a transaction before, and it might be saving them, enough for buy a cup of coffee, but it just cost them, $100,000 or $200,000 in taxes.
Exactly. So I would say for those listeners out there, if you own investment real estate, right, especially if you have owned that investment real estate for many years, there are options if you want to divest of those investments, maybe reinvest something more profitable. So the 1031 exchange is definitely, it's the solution for that.
Well, one of the things you said there takes it even another step further. Is if you're an investor, that means hopefully you haven't got you're in love with investing, not in love with a particular asset.
Exactly. At the end of the day, right, you're looking at the return.
Right.
I mean, you're managing your stock portfolio. You're gonna make little switches here and there.
Sure.
Well, the thing in real estate, we notice that owners or investment owners, are kind of complacent sometimes.
Set it and forget it.
You get into that, feel good things. I'm getting my check every month, and and years are going by.
Well, you feel good because you're getting that 100,000 you were just
Exactly,
talking about.
But
Right? But that 100,000 could have been 150,000.
Exactly.
And that comes out to the whole same scenario that people need to just really have a full, I call it a household board of directors.
Kind of, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You need that real estate. If you're a real estate investor, you need a great real estate professional working with you. You need somebody like Frank who understands the exchanges. You need that CPA. You need the lawyer. They all need to be working together.
Real estate broker, right? To
Right.
help you through the right lender
Right.
as well.
Yeah, you need all these things to be as part of your team.
Exactly. And then every few years, every 5 years, I would say, take another look at your real estate portfolio. See if you can make any tweaks, to it. Maybe divesting of one asset, reinvesting somewhere else, those kind of things. So, but don't be passive, right?
So get a little, we don't have a whole lot of time left, Frank. What are just a couple of the rules that can I take and sell my apartment building and buy Apple stock?
You can, right? It's only for real estate. So
Okay.
investment real estate for investment real estate. Like stock in a corporation would be considered personal property. So you cannot do an exchange into shares in a partnership or even like a real estate investment trust. You're buying share or stock.
Okay, so you can't do that.
You cannot do that. So only real estate. Same if many people think that they own a second home, they could do an exchange on it. Well, your second home is a second home. And there's not a lot of tax benefit by owning a second home, right? Unless maybe you rent it for a bit every year. But so you'll pay the taxes on that. Your primary residence, you cannot do an exchange on it. It's your primary.
No, not on your primary either.
Not on the primary.
Okay.
However, if you sell your primary, right, you have that what we call the 121 universal exclusion.
Sure.
So if you're single, you can get $250K, in gain tax free, and up to $500K if you're married, filing jointly. So you have that universal exclusion.
You got to keep the wife around for that extra $250,000. She's not listening, so I'm okay. Okay. Now, one quick question, because Josh already told me we're out of time. So if I've done a 1031 exchange, does that have any bearing on my estate step up in basis when I pass?
That's funny you're asking that. We have a saying in the business that says, you swap until you drop, right?
Oh.
And I have so many friends like that. They started with the condo, many, many years ago. And now they are sitting on like $15, $20 million worth of real estate. All of because of 1031 exchange, right? Well, something magical is going to happen when you pass on, right? Then beside you going to heaven, well, your kid's going to have a great day because they, as long as everything is set up properly, they could inherit your assets and they could sell everything the next day and pay zero taxes because of the stepped up in basis, right? So just by you passing on and going to a better world, then your kid could basically turn around, sell your assets, pay zero taxes. And in a sense, you beat the system. You just didn't get to enjoy it.
And I better be nice to my kids because I don't want them to push the process along any quicker.
Yeah.
Great information. I appreciate you coming in,
pleasure.
Frank. If you want more information, you want to learn about 1031 exchanges, Frank does a lot of training on this as well. You can give me a call at 800-306-1990. I'd be more than happy to put you in touch with Frank Bedeau. He's with Exchange Resources. I know where to find him. You know where to find me. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And, of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or meet any of our guests, call me anytime. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.